The Las Vegas Strip was built on one simple truth: the more people, the more money. For decades, the casinos thrived on endless crowds, millions of tourists filling every room, every table, every theater. But in 2025, the picture looks very different. The lights still flash, but the sidewalks are quiet. Casino floors are half empty. Entire hotels sit dark. And the question echoes across America: why is Vegas so empty? Officials blame inflation, high airfare, and changing travel habits. Casino executives call it a phase of restructuring. But now, for the first time, a Wall Street analyst who studied Vegas's finances for years has decided to break the silence. And his revelation is chilling. According to him, the emptiness of Las Vegas isn't a failure, it's a design. Vegas isn't collapsing, he confessed. It's being hollowed out on purpose. This analyst isn't a conspiracy theorist. He's a numbers man, someone who has followed every balance sheet, every report, every decline in visitor counts, and every hidden profit spike. And when he looked deeper, the numbers told a story no one in power wanted to admit. The Strip was being emptied deliberately to serve interests far bigger than tourism. Why would Wall Street want Vegas quiet? Who benefits when the city built on crowds turns into a ghost town? Tonight, we uncover the truth through the voice of the analyst who finally decided to speak out. Before he revealed the darker truth, the Wall Street analyst began by reminding us what Las Vegas used to be: a financial juggernaut, a city that turned neon lights into endless profit. For decades, Vegas was one of the safest bets on the market, he said. It was the machine that never stopped printing money. From the 1990s through the 2010s, Las Vegas was unstoppable. By 2007, just before the financial crash, the Strip was welcoming more than 39 million visitors a year. After the crisis, the numbers dipped briefly, but by 2015, tourism surged back, climbing toward 42 million annual visitors. Hotel occupancy rates hovered near 90%, and casinos reported billions in gaming revenue. Wall Street loved it. For investors, Vegas wasn't just a tourist hub, it was a cash flow empire. Conventions packed hotels, families filled the resorts, international tourists brought in high-value spending, and every aspect of the city was engineered to extract money from the $9 buffets that lured guests inside to the casinos, where billions of dollars in bets flowed daily. It was a perfect cycle, the analyst explained. Volume drove profits, and profits fueled expansion. Everyone won. The Strip grew bigger and flashier each decade. Mega resorts like the Bellagio, the Venetian, and later the Cosmopolitan became icons not just of Las Vegas, but of American capitalism itself. For Wall Street, these weren't just buildings, they were assets valued in the tens of billions. Shares in casino corporations traded like gold. Analysts projected steady growth year after year. Vegas was considered recession-proof, the insider admitted. Even when the economy shook, the Strip bounced back. Even the 2020 pandemic, which temporarily shut the Strip down for months, didn't destroy the machine. In 2021 and 2022, pent-up demand led to record-breaking weekends. Visitors returned in droves, proving again that Vegas had an unshakable grip on the American imagination. For Wall Street, Vegas's formula was simple: keep the crowds coming and the money would never stop flowing. And for decades, that formula worked. But when the analyst dug deeper into the numbers from 2023 onward, he saw something alarming. Visitor counts were falling, gaming revenue was slipping, profits weren't tracking the crowds anymore. Something had shifted. Vegas didn't lose its appeal by accident, he explained. The decline wasn't natural, it was orchestrated. The analyst paused when he said it, as though the weight of those words carried more than just financial meaning. The city that had once been Wall Street's brightest light was being dimmed not by outside forces, but by deliberate design. The Wall Street analyst explained that the first cracks in the numbers appeared around 2023. At a glance, the reports looked stable, hotel revenues seemed solid, casino gaming wins were still in the billions, and executives bragged about strong fundamentals. But when he broke the numbers down, a different picture emerged. What I saw, he said, was that the Strip was making less money from more expensive customers while pushing everyone else out. It wasn't growth, it was manipulation. He pointed to one key example. In May 2025, the Nevada Gaming Control Board reported that the Strip's gaming win was about $713.7 million down, nearly 3.9% compared to the same month in 2024, which had reached $742.5 million. To the public, this looked like a small dip, but hidden inside the numbers was a bigger truth. While revenue per visitor was rising, the number of actual visitors was falling fast. Tourism data backed this up. By June 2025, Las Vegas had welcomed about 3.1 million visitors, down 11% year over year. In the first half of 2025 alone, total visitation dropped by more than 7% compared to the previous year. Yet despite fewer people on the Strip, Wall Street still celebrated. That's when I knew, the analyst admitted. The emptiness was being hidden in plain sight. He explained how financial statements masked the reality. Corporations reported higher per capita spending, which made profits look healthier than they were. But this wasn't growth, it was extraction. Prices for food, drinks, and resort fees had skyrocketed. A $20 cocktail, a $50 buffet, and $200 a night resort fees became the norm. Middle-class tourists were priced out, but high rollers and corporate clients made the averages look strong. It's the classic Wall Street trick, the analyst explained. You cut volume, but raise prices. To the spreadsheets, it looks like stability. To the people, it feels like collapse. He also noticed troubling shifts in net income. Despite reports of revenue growth in 2024, net income on the Strip fell by more than 40%. That meant that while casinos were charging more and reporting bigger revenue, the actual profitability of operations was deteriorating. Costs were rising, debt was piling up, and yet the official story painted a picture of resilience. Why would Wall Street remain silent about this? The analyst had an answer. Because emptiness wasn't a problem for them, it was the plan. By pushing away the crowds, casinos could consolidate power, eliminate smaller competitors, and reorient their business around a smaller, wealthier base of customers. The reports never mentioned this directly, but the numbers told the story. Millions of ordinary visitors gone, tens of thousands of workers laid off. But stock prices still steady because the corporations had restructured their model around exclusivity. He recalled one internal briefing where an executive boasted, "We don't need 40 million visitors anymore. 20 million whales will do just fine." The analyst described it as a chilling realization. The Strip wasn't failing, it was being remade. The emptiness was intentional, and Wall Street not only knew it, but supported it. The data wasn't just financial, it was evidence of a city being hollowed out from the inside. When you read the reports carefully, you see the truth, he said. Vegas isn't empty because it lost the crowds. Vegas is empty because the numbers demanded it. When the Wall Street analyst finally decided to break his silence, his words were blunt. Las Vegas isn't empty because it failed. It's empty because that's what the people in charge wanted. For decades, the business model of Vegas was built on volume. Millions of visitors, small bets, endless foot traffic, that was the engine. But around 2023, a shift began. Executives and financiers decided that model was outdated. Instead of relying on the masses, they could extract more profit from fewer, wealthier customers. Think of it like pruning a tree, the analyst explained. You cut off the branches you don't need, so the fruit you want grows bigger. The masses were the branches. The whales were the fruit. That meant systematically pushing out the middle class. Prices soared, shows were canceled, cheap hotel rooms disappeared, and tables were shut down even when tourists wanted to play. To the public, it looked like bad management. To Wall Street, it was controlled scarcity. Empty casinos are easier to manage, easier to secure, and more profitable when you focus on the few who spend millions, the analyst said. He also revealed how the financial community played a key role. Private equity firms that had poured billions into Vegas resorts weren't interested in a carnival for everyone. They wanted predictable returns. Crowds of middle-class tourists created volatility, too many variables, too many costs. But with a smaller curated pool of wealthy guests, revenue became steadier even if the city looked half dead. One slide from an internal presentation stunned him. It read, "Volume is volatility, scarcity is stability." For the analysts, that was the smoking gun. They were saying it outright. The emptiness wasn't a bug, it was a feature. This strategy also eliminated competition. Smaller casinos, independent motels, and local businesses couldn't survive when the crowds were gone. As they failed, larger corporations swooped in to buy them at bargain prices. By 2025, just a handful of companies controlled more than 80% of the Strip's assets. What looked like decline was really consolidation. The analyst admitted he kept quiet at first because the system seemed untouchable. Profits looked fine on paper, stockholders were satisfied, and officials in Nevada repeated the same excuses: inflation, airfare, changing consumer habits. But the truth gnawed at him. He knew the silence of the Strip wasn't caused by outside forces. It was engineered by the very corporations investors trusted. Vegas didn't collapse, he said. It was redesigned, and Wall Street signed off on every step. Even more chilling was how executives justified the strategy. According to the analyst, they argued that Vegas's future was in exclusivity. Why chase 40 million tourists a year when 20 million elite visitors could spend the same or more with fewer risks? The emptiness wasn't about losing, it was about refining. They didn't want everyone, he explained. They wanted the few who mattered. This strategy, however, had devastating consequences for locals. Tens of thousands of jobs were lost. Entire neighborhoods reliant on Strip traffic withered. And while profits remained steady, communities around Vegas fell into decline. But for Wall Street, this was irrelevant. "We don't measure community impact on a balance sheet," one executive reportedly told him. The analyst's conclusion was stark. The Strip wasn't just a tourist hub anymore, it was a financial instrument. And like any instrument, it was reshaped to serve those who owned it, not those who lived in it. The emptiness was intentional, he repeated. And as long as Wall Street controls the game, the Strip will never belong to the people again. The Wall Street analyst didn't just reveal the strategy behind Vegas's emptiness, he also exposed the devastating cost. While financial reports glowed with phrases like restructuring success and stable returns, the reality on the ground in Las Vegas was far different. By late 2024, tens of thousands of Strip workers, dealers, cocktail servers, bartenders, entertainers, and hotel staff had lost their jobs. Entire casino floors stood closed, not because demand had disappeared, but because executives ordered it that way. "We didn't run out of customers," the analyst explained. "We pushed them away, and in the process, we pushed workers out too." The impact rippled through the city. Small businesses that relied on Strip traffic, souvenir shops, late-night diners, motels off the main road, saw revenues collapse by 40–50%. Some closed permanently, leaving behind boarded-up windows and empty lots. For many families, Vegas had been a stable livelihood for generations. Now those lifelines were gone. Housing markets felt the shock as well. Without steady income, workers defaulted on mortgages or moved away entirely. Neighborhoods once alive with casino employees turned eerily quiet. Local schools saw enrollments drop, while shelters reported record demand. The Strip's silence was mirrored by silence in the suburbs. Yet despite the visible decline, Wall Street told a different story. Corporations highlighted higher per capita spending as proof of progress. Analysts cheered that fewer visitors were spending more money. But that success was built on the suffering of ordinary Nevadans. It looked great in spreadsheets, the insider admitted. But when you walked the streets, it looked like collapse. Entertainment, once the lifeblood of Vegas, also suffered. Shows closed abruptly. Musicians and performers were left scrambling for work. A stagehand confessed, "We weren't canceled because tickets didn't sell. We were canceled because management didn't want us open. They wanted theaters dark." For the analyst, the contrast between numbers and reality was unbearable. Wall Street measured profit margins. Locals measured empty tables. And those two realities couldn't be further apart. He pointed to the sharpest example in fiscal year 2024, while revenues for Strip casinos rose by 6.8%, net income fell by more than 40%. That meant costs were climbing, jobs were vanishing, and communities were breaking. Yet the official line still called it growth. It was smoke and mirrors, he explained. They celebrated numbers that hid the pain of an entire city. The analyst also revealed how executives spun the narrative to silence criticism. Rising prices were labeled as premium strategy. Empty rooms were described as inventory management. Entire casinos running at half capacity were justified as demand recalibration. Behind every euphemism was the same reality, emptiness by design. For the locals, none of this spin mattered. They felt abandoned by both corporations and politicians. One former dealer summed it up in a single line: Vegas isn't for us anymore. It's for them. The Strip still glittered, but the soul of the city was gone. The emptiness wasn't just financial, it was cultural. A place that once belonged to everyone had been transformed into a sterile playground for the few. And the analyst knew the cruelest truth of all the losses weren't mistakes, they were sacrifices. The Wall Street analyst warned that the emptiness of Las Vegas wasn't just about higher prices or fewer tourists. It was about something far more sinister. According to him, the silence of the Strip had become the perfect cover for global money flows and political deals that the public was never supposed to see. When the crowds vanish, so does the noise, he explained. And in that silence, anything can happen. He described how the emptiness created a controlled environment where billions could be moved discreetly. High-roller suites, once a place for luxury gamblers, had become safe havens for financial transactions disguised as play. A $5 million loss at a baccarat table could launder dirty cash instantly. With fewer people around, these transactions didn't blend into chaos, they became invisible by design. The analyst pointed to a series of suspicious real estate deals between 2023 and 2025. Entire properties on the Strip quietly changed hands through shell companies registered overseas. Billionaires from China, oligarchs from Eastern Europe, and energy tycoons from the Middle East bought into Vegas without headlines. Those deals were hidden under the cover of decline, he said. Everyone thought Vegas was struggling, so no one asked questions about who was buying it up. He also revealed how casinos became a stage for backroom politics. With fewer tourists, VIP lounges and closed-off theaters turned into private meeting rooms. Lobbyists, corporate executives, and even foreign officials used the emptiness as a shield. Vegas wasn't a carnival anymore. It was a negotiation floor, the analyst confessed. The government's role was equally disturbing. According to him, certain regulators and state officials looked the other way. They blamed inflation and airfare in public, but in private, they benefited from the transformation. Empty casinos meant fewer eyes, fewer leaks, and more control. It wasn't incompetence, it was complicity, he said. For Wall Street, this arrangement was perfect. Investors didn't care if Vegas looked like a ghost town as long as profits flowed. And profits didn't just come from gambling anymore. They came from financial engineering, real estate speculation, and hidden international money transfers. The Strip's silence was a balance sheet victory, even if it meant the death of the city's soul. The analyst admitted he stayed silent at first because he feared the consequences. But as he watched locals lose everything while elites gained more control, he knew the truth had to come out. Vegas wasn't empty because people stopped coming, he said. It was empty because powerful people needed it empty. His warning was chilling. Las Vegas may only be the beginning. If this model of controlled decline worked here, it could be replicated in other cities. Vegas was the prototype, he said. If they can hollow out the most famous city in America without anyone noticing, what makes you think your city is safe? The neon still flashes, the fountains still dance, the billboards still glow. But behind the spectacle lies a city rebuilt for secrecy. To the tourists, Vegas looks weak. To Wall Street, it looks perfect. And to the analyst, it looks like a cautionary tale of how power reshapes reality in silence. Vegas didn't collapse, he concluded. It was remade. And the emptiness wasn't the end. It was the beginning of something much darker. Las Vegas was once the loudest city in America, a place where the lights never dimmed and the crowds never stopped. But the voice of a Wall Street analyst has exposed a truth far darker than anyone imagined. The emptiness of the Strip wasn't caused by economic decline. It was engineered, designed to consolidate power, maximize control, and create a perfect cover for hidden money flows and political deals. The casinos still sparkle, but their purpose has shifted. What used to be a playground for millions is now a fortress for the few. Workers have lost jobs, families have lost livelihoods, and neighborhoods have fallen silent, all while corporations report stability and investors quietly celebrate. Vegas didn't collapse, the analyst warned. It was remade on purpose. And that raises a question we cannot ignore. If Sin City can be hollowed out in plain sight, what other cities could be next? Could the same blueprint of controlled decline, corporate takeover, and hidden financial power already be shaping New York, Miami, or Los Angeles? The lights on the Strip still shine, but they no longer shine for everyone. They shine for the powerful few who rewrote the city in silence. For the rest of us, the emptiness of Vegas is more than a tragedy, it's a warning. So ask yourself, when a city this famous can be emptied on purpose, what's really happening in the shadows of your own city?